Hello and welcome to the video for this Saturday, July 6th for the MLB early slate on Draftkings. It doesn't look like there's any major weather concerns. We will need to keep an eye on that Brewers-Pirates game just to be safe, but outside of that, everything looks good. So let's start off at starting pitcher today, where the cash game build is pretty obvious. You start by plugging in Max Scherzer as your SP1. The Royals are going to lose their DH moving to the National League. They are bottom 10 in the league in OPS against right-handed pitching, and Vegas has Mad Max as a massive minus 420 favorite in this matchup. And the Royals have an implied team total under 3, the lowest on the slate. Don't get cute and lock him in as your SP1. The SP2 today is also pretty clear. We are going to take another Max Fried of the Atlanta Braves at 6.5K. He projects to be the best point per dollar play at the position. He has been a little unlucky this season as he has an ERA above 4, but his xFIP is 3.45, which means some positive regression should be coming, and this is like the dream spot for it to start happening. The Marlins have the lowest OPS against left-handed pitching in the league, so I think you're going to pair those two together in cash. Some other options to consider for tournaments. Blake Snell is probably my favorite GPP play. He's actually improved upon his strikeout and walk rates from last year when he won the Cy Young Award. He's just been, bit by some untimely homers this year that's inflating his ERA. The Yankees are striking out 25% of the time against lefties, so he's definitely somebody to consider. Caleb Smith was in the midst of a breakout season, striking out nearly a third of the hitters he was facing, and he returns today off of the injured list. He does draw a tough matchup against the Braves, who hit left-handed pitching fairly well, and there is some concern about his pitch count in his first start back. That should keep him fairly low owned, and you can have some shares of him and just bet on his talent for him to return to value. And the last guy that I would consider would be Rick Porcello, who got absolutely shelled in that London game against the Yankees his last time out. That's probably going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But this matchup against the Tigers is a phenomenal one. They are very inept against right-handed pitching. They have the second highest strikeout rate and the second slowest slugging percentage against righties. So this could be a solid bounce-back spot for Porcello. So let's move on to the bats. I think this is a spot you're going to want to pay down for if you're pairing both maxes together in cash games. That's going to leave you with just under 4K remaining per player. And there are some other priority bats we want to jam into our lineup. So I think you want to save with Yan Gomes at 2.9K. Sparkman has been awful this year, and the Nationals have an implied team total above 6. So you can get some of your exposure to the Nats by playing Gomes. In tournaments, you can certainly play a top guy like Gary Sanchez or Yasmani Grandal. If you want to spend up just to be different for your lineup construction, or I'll even throw Tyler Flowers in the mix as a guy in the mid-tier. That's another solid option. At first base, if you have the money, the top option is Carlos Santana. Dating back to the start of last season, Desclafani is allowing 2.45 home runs per 9 against left-handed bats. That is crazy high, and it's the second worst mark in the league over that time span. Santana has been mashing right-handed pitching this season and gets a park upgrade by playing in Cincinnati. I'll also mention another Indians bat, Jacob Bowers, 3.5K. He can be played here or in the outfield. He's definitely underwhelmed this season, but for all the same reasons I mentioned for Santana, he remains a good option. And the last guy I'll mention, got these stupid pop-up ads that are coming over on DraftKings. I hate it. The last guy I'll mention is Ryan Zimmerman at 3.6K. He has been bad this year, but there may be signs that he's starting to break out of his prolonged slump. He just hit 3 doubles last night, and I'm aware that a sample size of one game is as small as it gets. But it could be a confidence booster against Sparkman, who I mentioned has been bad, and the Nats have a high implied team total. Moving on to second base. Again, I think if you have the salary, Moustakas is probably the guy you want, although I think he's best reserved for GPPs because of the weather concerns and just optimal roster construction because of salary restraints. But the two guys that I think are cash viable, first is Jason Kipnis and also Brian Dozier. I don't really have much else to add as to why I like those guys. This is going to be a common theme throughout the video. Indians and national players have good matchups at reasonable prices, so expect to hear a couple more of those names ahead. Third base, this is a loaded position today, and the one that I think you're going to want to spread out ownership on if you're playing dozens and dozens of lineups and tournaments. Devers, Rendon. I mentioned Moose at second, but you can play him here as well. Jose Ramirez and Josh Donaldson all grade out as solid plays. I don't really have a strong take on any one of those guys. Depending on your personal preference of where you're going to spend up and spend down other positions, I would endorse any one of those plays. Shortstop, I think Francisco Lindor looks to be the top overall play when you factor in his projection and salary. Again, the Indians just have a great matchup, and he's one of those lefty bats that can knock Desclafani around. Turner, another great play against Barkman if you want to go all the way up to his salary. Xander, another really strong option against him at 5K. I really like the Red Sox bats today. I only mentioned Devers for a second at the previous position, but this team does have the highest implied total on the slate. Didn't mean to gloss over, these guys, just brief mentions, but Vegas is all over this team. It's just that the price tags may prohibit you from getting to all of them. And if you have to punt, I guess somebody like Mercer or even Saladino are very cheap, even if it feels, gross to roster either guy. Outfield, this position is loaded, especially in the top tier. This is where I wanted to emphasize the Red Sox bats the most. Mookie and JD at 5K and 4.9K. Those are the two of the top overall bats on the slate. Another Washington National, spoiler alert, Juan Soto, great play. He's my favorite bat from that game. You certainly can't forget about a guy like Christian Yelich, reigning MVP and having another just crazy year. But with that potential weather risk and other viable options below him, I think you can just reserve him for tournaments only. Acuna is another guy in this 5K and above range that you can consider, but probably more of a GPP choice today. In the mid-tier, more Red Sox Nationals bats stand out. Surprise, surprise. You got Benintendi down here at... Let's see, where is he? Did I scroll right past him? Where is Benintendi? Hold on. 4.3K. 4.3K is reasonably priced. I also think Adam Eaton down here at 3.9K. Very solid option. If we're going a little bit cheaper, previously I mentioned Bowers at first base, but I'll mention him here again. And I think the lowest that I would go today is down to a guy like Christian Stewart, 3.3K. Projected bat cleanup against Rick Porcello. He's a solid salary-saving option. So that about wraps up this video. This is my first video on this channel. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter at clutch_DFS. Thanks for watching, and good luck tonight.